The morning fog rolled across the San Diego harbor as Lieutenant Commander Ryan Blake stepped onto the dock. His dress, whites crisp and perfect. He was headed to an important meeting at Naval Base Coronado, a promotion review that could make him the youngest commander in his unit. Everything about Ryan screamed success. From his polished shoes to his chest full of ribbons earned through desk jobs and political maneuvering. He checked his watch, irritated that his usual parking spot was blocked, forcing him to walk past the fishing docks where civilians cluttered the pristine military harbor. That's when he saw him. An older man, maybe 60, sat on an overturned crate mending fishing nets. His hands were weathered and scarred, his face deeply lined from years under the sun. He wore a faded fishing jacket that had seen better days, and his gray hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. To Ryan, he was everything wrong with allowing civilians near military facilities, a reminder of the ordinary world that Ryan had worked so hard to rise above. The fisherman looked up and nodded politely, but Ryan barely acknowledged him, stepping around the nets with visible disgust. "Excuse me," Ryan said sharply. "This dock is for official military business. Fishermen should use the public marina." But what Ryan didn't know was that this encounter would teach him the most important lesson of his career, one that no amount of ribbons or promotions could ever provide. If you think you know where this story is going, think again, because the truth about this fisherman will leave you speechless. The older man looked up slowly, his gray eyes calm and measuring. "Apologies, officer. I'll be done in a minute." His voice was quiet but carried a weight that Ryan didn't recognize. Ryan huffed, checking his watch again. "Navy personnel need clear access. I don't know how you got authorization to fish here, but this is inappropriate." He gestured at the nets, the tackle box, the simple life this man represented. "There are proper channels for civilians. This area is for people who serve." The fisherman's expression didn't change, but something flickered in those gray eyes, something ancient and knowing. Ryan was about to walk away when a voice called out from behind him. "Jack, there you are." A Navy captain, someone Ryan recognized from the base, was jogging toward them, his face lit up with genuine joy. Ryan froze. Captains didn't jog for civilians. They didn't smile like that for fishermen. The captain reached them, slightly out of breath, and clasped the older man's hand warmly. "I've been looking everywhere for you. The commander wants you at the ceremony this afternoon. We're naming the new training facility after you." The fisherman, Jack, shook his head modestly. "Tom, I told you I don't need that. I just came down to do some fishing, clear my head." Ryan stood there, confusion written across his face. The captain finally noticed him. "Lieutenant Commander Blake, have you met Jack Morrison?" "Jack, this is one of our rising officers." Ryan extended his hand automatically, his mind racing. The fisherman shook it with a grip that spoke of real strength, not the performative firmness Ryan had perfected. "We haven't been properly introduced," Jack said simply. The captain laughed. "Jack's being modest. He's only the most decorated SEAL in West Coast history. 32 years of service, 16 deployments. More successful missions than most units complete in a decade." Ryan felt the blood drain from his face. The captain continued, oblivious to Ryan's growing horror. "Jack retired 5 years ago, but he still comes by to mentor our new SEAL candidates. Half the operators currently deployed trained under him. The other half wish they had." Ryan's eyes dropped to Jack's arm, where the fishing jacket had ridden up slightly. There, faded but unmistakable, was a tattoo of the SEAL Trident. Surrounded by coordinates and dates that Ryan instinctively knew represented missions he'd never be cleared to know about. Below it were scars, the kind that came from things Ryan had only read about in classified reports. Jack caught him staring and gently pulled his sleeve down. "Just old memories," he said quietly. But Ryan could now see everything he'd missed before. The way Jack sat wasn't casual. It was the alertness of someone always assessing threats. The scars on his hands weren't from fishing nets alone. The calm in his eyes was the kind that came from facing death so many times that ego became irrelevant. This man had done things Ryan couldn't imagine, protected people Ryan would never know about, and carried burdens Ryan would never understand. And Ryan had dismissed him as just a fisherman, unworthy of respect. The captain's radio crackled with an urgent call, and he excused himself, jogging back toward the base. That left Ryan alone with Jack, the silence heavy between them. Ryan wanted to disappear, to rewind the last 10 minutes and approach this man with the respect he deserved. Finally, he found his voice. "Sir, I apologize. I didn't know who you were. I was disrespectful." Jack looked at him for a long moment, then smiled slightly. "You didn't know because I didn't tell you. But here's what concerns me, son. You were disrespectful because you thought I was nobody. You saw an old fisherman and decided I wasn't worth basic courtesy. That's the real problem." Ryan felt the words hit him like a physical blow. Jack continued, his voice gentle but firm. "In my years as a SEAL, I learned that the most dangerous thing isn't the enemy you can see. It's the assumptions you make, The moment you think you know everything, the moment you judge people by their appearance, you've already lost the most important battle, the one for wisdom and character. He gestured at his fishing gear. I come here to fish because it reminds me that I'm just a man. The ocean doesn't care about my ribbons or my reputation. Neither should I. Real warriors serve without needing recognition. They respect everyone because they understand that strength comes in many forms. Ryan stood there, his promotion meeting forgotten, feeling smaller than he had in years. I've spent my whole career climbing the ranks, collecting achievements, but I realize now I haven't learned what really matters. Jack stood up, his movements still carrying the efficiency of his training. You're young, and you're learning. That's good. Just remember this: the uniform doesn't make you worthy of respect. Your actions do. Treat every person you meet as if they might teach you something important, because they probably can. Even old Fisherman. He picked up his tackle box and began to walk away, then turned back. And son, there are warriors all around you who don't advertise it. The nurse who treats combat stress, the teacher who mentors military kids, a janitor at the VA who's a Silver Star recipient. See them, honor them, because that's what real leadership looks like. Ryan watched Jack disappear into the morning fog, his rusty tackle box in one hand, his simple fishing rod in the other. He looked down at his own pristine uniform, his polished shoes, his chest of ribbons that suddenly felt hollow. He pulled out his phone and canceled his promotion meeting, then sat down on Jack's overturned crate and watched the sun rise over the harbor. For the first time in his career, Ryan understood that he had a lot to learn. This story reminds us that true greatness rarely announces itself. The most extraordinary people often live the quietest lives, carrying their achievements with humility and grace. Before you judge someone by their appearance or circumstances, remember Jack Morrison in his fishing nets. Heroes walk among us every day, wearing ordinary clothes and doing simple things. If this story moved you, take a moment today to show respect to someone you might normally overlook. Listen to the elderly veteran at the grocery store. Thank the humble worker at the VA. Honor the quiet strength around you. Share this message with someone who needs to remember that real power needs no advertisement. And subscribe to keep these important stories alive, because every unsung hero deserves to have their truth told.